Ever think about starting a business but don't have much to invest?
I bet a lot of people can relate to that.
Well, today we're going to dive into this book called Almost Free Money by Eric Michael.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that one.
It's all about making a profit by selling stuff that's free or really cheap.
Like turning trash into treasure. Sounds intriguing.
Exactly. So, we're going to explore this whole idea of almost free money.
Sounds good to me.
See if it's really possible to build a profitable business without spending a ton of money up front.
Right, because who wouldn't want to do that?
So the first thing is, what's the deal with this almost free money concept?
Well, it's about finding value where other people don't see it.
Okay, so like what are we talking about here?
You know, like maybe an old lamp that's scratched up,
Okay.
but you could like polish it up, make it look nice.
I see.
Or a blender that's broken, but you can fix it with a simple part.
Okay.
Or even a box of old books that might be worth something to a collector.
So it's not just about getting free stuff, but actually seeing the potential in it.
Exactly.
So where do we even find all this stuff?
Well, Eric's got a bunch of suggestions in the book. Some are kind of like a scavenger hunt.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like what? Tell me more.
So there's the obvious places like garage sales and thrift stores.
Yeah.
But then it gets more interesting. You got things like flea markets,
Mm-hmm.
especially at the end of the day when they're trying to get rid of stuff.
Oh, I see.
And people who are moving and need to sell things quickly.
Makes sense.
You can find them on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace.
Okay.
Oh, and storage unit auctions.
Oh, wow. Storage unit auctions. Those can be risky, right?
Yeah, definitely a gamble, but the potential payoff could be huge.
Yeah, I guess you could find some real treasures in there.
Exactly.
And we got to be careful about the legal stuff, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like if you're picking up things from the curb.
Curbside fines.
Yeah, you need to make sure it's actually legal in your area.
Yeah. Good point. Good point. We don't want to get in trouble for trying to save a few bucks.
Right.
So any tips for finding valuable stuff online specifically?
Well, you can set up alerts for certain items that you know sell well.
Oh, that's smart. So you don't have to constantly be searching.
Yeah, it's like having your own personal treasure hunting assistant.
I like it.
And it's always good to build relationships with people at your local thrift stores or flea markets.
Okay.
They often know about upcoming sales or new inventory that might be coming in.
So it's all about connections.
Pretty much.
Okay, so we've got our treasure hunting skills down. Now, what about what actually sells? Because, I mean, not all free stuff is created equal.
No, definitely not. But what's interesting is that the stuff that sells best often aligns with what's trendy.
So what's hot right now? What should we be looking for?
Well, Eric talks a lot about electronics and appliances.
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense. People always knew those.
Exactly. Things like laptops, tablets, gaming consoles, kitchen appliances, even power tools.
So if we can fix them up, we can make a decent profit.
Yeah, especially since a lot of people don't know how to repair electronics.
True. Less competition for us.
Right.
What else is popular?
Furniture and home decor are big too.
Oh, really? Like what kind of stuff?
Chairs, tables, bookshelves, lamps.
Okay.
You know, maybe even an old door or window that you can repurpose.
I love that. Upcycling is so trendy right now.
Yeah, people are really into that whole DIY thing.
Makes sense. So we've got electronics, you've got furniture. What else?
Books, DVDs, and records can be surprisingly valuable.
Especially if they're like first editions or rare pressings, right?
Exactly.
It's amazing what people will collect.
It really is.
What about clothing and accessories?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Designer brands can still fetch a good price, even if they have some minor flaws.
Okay.
And vintage clothing is making a huge comeback, especially stuff from the 80s and 90s.
Wow, so it's not just about digging through dusty boxes at thrift stores.
Nope.
We might even have valuable stuff in our own closets.
You never know.
What about collectibles and antiques? That seems like a whole other ballgame.
It is a vast category for sure.
Like, what are we talking about here?
Oh, gosh. Old advertising signs, toys, postcards, posters, silverware, vintage glassware,
Okay.
comic books, trading cards, sports memorabilia. I mean, the list goes on and on.
So it's all about finding those hidden gems.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's say we found all this great stuff. How do we actually get it in front of buyers?
Well, Eric talks a lot about the different platforms you can use.
Like eBay.
eBay is definitely still popular, especially for smaller items that you can ship easily.
Okay.
But don't forget about local marketplaces like Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist.
Right, especially for bigger things like furniture that you would want to ship.
Exactly.
What about other platforms? Any new ones we should know about?
OfferUp and LetGo are becoming more popular, especially for regional sales.
I've heard of those. So it sounds like we need to choose the right platform depending on what we're selling.
Yes, and once you've chosen your platform, you need to make sure your listings are top-notch.
Okay, so how do we do that? How do we make our listings stand out?
Well, first of all, you need high-quality photos.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Clear, well-lit images that show off the item's best features.
So like online dating, for our stuff, got to put our best foot forward.
Exactly. And use descriptive titles with relevant keywords.
Keywords like what?
Things like the brand, the model, any unique features.
So people can easily find what they're looking for.
Yep.
What about pricing? How do we figure out how much to charge?
Competitive pricing is key.
Okay, but how do we know what's competitive?
Do your research. Look at what similar items are selling for on different platforms.
So don't just guess. Actually look into it.
Right, and remember to factor in any fees or shipping costs you might have.
Good point. Don't want to end up losing money on a sale.
Exactly.
So Eric mentioned some other strategies for increasing profits too, right?
He does. Things like bundle discounts, seasonal timing, and flash sales.
Oh yeah, those are good ideas.
Like, if you're selling books or DVDs, you could offer a buy two, get one free deal.
Uh-huh.
And it makes sense to sell winter coats in the winter and patio furniture in the summer.
Yeah, capitalize on what people are looking for at that time of year.
Exactly.
And flash sales create a sense of urgency.
You do. People don't want to miss out on a good deal.
True, true.
Yeah.
But beyond all those tactics, it's also important to build trust with buyers, right?
Oh, absolutely. Honesty and transparency are crucial.
So be upfront about any damage or missing parts.
Yes, it's always better to underpromise and overdeliver.
So now I'm curious, can we actually scale this whole almost free thing?
Scale it.
Yeah, like can we turn it into a real business, not just a side hustle?
Oh, absolutely. Eric talks about some really exciting possibilities for growth.
Like what?
Well, you could automate some of your tasks,
Okay.
outsource certain things, maybe even build a brand beyond just selling on individual marketplaces.
Yeah, that's interesting. So we could really take this to the next level.
You definitely could. You could develop a niche expertise,
Okay.
like restoring vintage furniture or sourcing rare books. You could build an online presence with a website or an Etsy shop.
Wow, the possibilities are endless.
They really are. And as your business grows, you could even think about hiring a virtual assistant
Okay.
to help with things like customer service or setting up pickup locations for local sales.
So you don't have to do everything yourself.
Exactly. You could even outsource things like repairing, cleaning, or refurbishing items.
Wow, so we could build a whole team of people.
Yeah, and you could partner with consignment stores to sell higher-end goods.
That's amazing. So this really could become a full-fledged business.
It absolutely could. The key is to stay flexible and adapt to the changing market,
Okay.
and always be on the lookout for new opportunities.
So it's not just about following a set formula.
No, it's about being creative and resourceful.
So before we get too carried away with all these grand plans, let's bring it back to the basics. What's the most important thing Eric wants us to take away from almost free money?
I think it's about empowering people to take control of their financial futures,
Okay.
to tap into their creativity and build businesses that are both profitable and sustainable.
So it's not just about making money
No, it's about creating something valuable from almost nothing.
and showing that anyone can do it.
Exactly. You know, it's amazing how this almost free idea can work in so many different ways.
Right, like what works in one place might not work somewhere else.
Exactly. It's all about understanding the local market.
And knowing what people are looking for. But let's face it, not everything's going to be smooth sailing. What are some common mistakes people make when they're just starting out with this almost free thing?
Well, one thing Eric really stresses is knowing the rules.
Rules.
Yeah, like local laws and regulations about collecting stuff that's been thrown away.
Oh, right. Don't want to get in trouble with the law just for trying to be thrifty.
Definitely not. And another mistake is overpricing things.
I could see how that could happen. You think, oh, I got this for free so I can charge a lot for it.
Yeah, but buyers are smart. They'll know if you're asking too much.
So how do you find that sweet spot between making a profit and not scaring people off?
Research. Look at what similar items are selling for online and in your local area.
So basically, don't just guess.
Right. And don't forget to factor in any fees or shipping costs.
Good point. Wouldn't want to lose money on a sale.
No, not at all. And speaking of research, another big mistake is not actually knowing the value of something.
Like you might think something's worth a lot, but it turns out nobody wants it.
Exactly. So do your homework. Look at completed listings on eBay. See what people are actually paying for those items.
Okay, so we've talked about knowing the law, pricing things right, and actually researching the value of things. What else can trip people up?
Bad descriptions. You gotta make your listings stand out.
Yeah, I guess nobody's going to buy something if they don't know what it is.
Exactly. Use clear photos, detailed descriptions, answer any questions a buyer might have.
So it's kind of like online dating. For your stuff, you got to present it in the best possible light.
Exactly. Highlight its best features, make people want it.
But even with the best listings, you're going to run into some challenges, right? Like,
Yeah.
what about difficult customers? Or people wanting to return things?
Yeah, that's part of the game, unfortunately. You definitely need a clear return policy,
Okay.
but be careful about which items you offer returns on.
So you don't end up with a bunch of stuff you can't sell.
Right. And when it comes to difficult customers, just stay calm, be polite, but firm.
Okay.
Clearly communicate your policies. And if someone's being a real pain, don't be afraid to block them.
Yeah, sometimes it's just not worth the hassle.
Exactly. Protect your time and energy. It's valuable.
So we've talked about the challenges. Now let's talk about the future. Is this whole almost free thing just a fad?
I don't think so. It seems like more and more people are embracing secondhand goods.
Yeah, it's like being thrifty is cool now.
Right. And it's good for the environment, too. Less waste.
Definitely. Plus, there's something kind of satisfying about finding a hidden gem and giving it a new life.
I agree. And with technology constantly evolving, there are always new platforms and marketplaces popping up.
So more opportunities for sellers to connect with buyers.
Exactly. It's an exciting time to be in this space.
Okay, but let's say you want to go beyond just selling on eBay or Craigslist. What else can you do?
Well, you could create your own website or Etsy shop.
So you have more control over your brand and your pricing.
Exactly. And you can really connect with your target audience.
And social media is a great way to build a community around your brand.
Absolutely. You can share your story, your passion for what you're doing.
And people love stories, really.
Yeah.
It makes them feel more connected to what they're buying.
Definitely. It's not just a transaction, it's an experience.
So what about scaling up? Like if you want to turn this into a bigger operation.
Well, Eric suggests exploring wholesale opportunities.
Mhm.
You could offer bulk discounts to resellers, partner with other businesses.
So you're not limited to just selling one item at a time.
Exactly. You can really expand your reach.
So it sounds like the possibilities are pretty much endless.
They really are. The key is to be creative, adaptable, and always be learning.
Okay, so before we wrap up this part of the deep dive, let's go back to the big picture. What's the most important thing Eric wants readers to take away from Almost Free Money?
I think it's about empowering people to take control of their financial lives.
Yeah, like not feeling stuck or limited by their circumstances.
Right, and to see the potential in things that other people might overlook.
It's about changing your perspective.
Exactly. And realizing that anyone can create something valuable from almost nothing.
It's really amazing to think that we could create something valuable, maybe even a whole business, out of things that other people just discard.
It is pretty cool, right?
But for someone who's just starting out, where do they even begin?
I'd say the best place to start is just by looking around.
Looking around.
Yeah, like really look at your stuff, your neighborhood, your community.
Okay.
What do you see? What's being thrown away? What's being sold at garage sales or thrift stores?
Oh, I see.
What's being listed online for free or cheap?
So it's about seeing the potential in things that other people might miss.
Exactly. And then think about what you could do with it. Could you fix it up? Repurpose it? Resell it?
It's like a treasure hunt.
It kind of is. And the best part is you don't need a lot of money to get started.
So you can experiment a little,
Yeah.
try different things, see what works.
Exactly. You could sell a few things online just to get the hang of it,
Okay.
or visit some local flea markets, get a feel for what's selling and what prices people are willing to pay.
You could even start by giving stuff away.
Yeah, that's a good way to declutter and maybe even help someone out.
So there's really no risk involved.
Not really. It's more about having fun, being creative, and maybe even making some money along the way.
And who knows, maybe it'll turn into a real business.
It could happen. You just got to be willing to put in the effort and learn as you go.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Almost Free Money, what's the one thing you hope listeners will take away from all of this?
I hope they realize that they have more power than they think,
Okay.
that they can create their own opportunities and build something meaningful, even if they don't have a lot of resources to start with.
It's about changing your mindset.
Exactly. It's about seeing the world as full of possibilities.
Well said. So if you're intrigued by this idea of almost free money, we highly recommend checking out Eric Michaels' book.
It's packed with tips and strategies that anyone can use.
And who knows, maybe you'll be the next almost free money success story. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.